As the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, prepares to touch down in India this morning for the G20 summit. Here in the UK, a nationwide manhunt is still underway for suspected terrorist Daniel Khalife, who escaped from prison almost 48 hours ago.
Yeah, overnight the police have been searching Richmond Park. There's been no confirmed sightings of the fugitive yet. The Foreign Secretary James Cleverly joins us now from Westminster. Good morning to you, Mr Cleverly. Thank you for joining us this morning. So we've seen a lot of activity in and around Richmond Park overnight. Can you give us any update as to whether there was any success or any leads?
Well, I'm not in a position to comment on ongoing investigations or ongoing searches. But what we, and you mentioned this in your report already, you mentioned this in your report already, the Secretary of State for Justice has initiated investigations into how this has happened, and we will, of course, focus very much on public safety, which is always a priority for the government. But as I say, I can't comment or speculate about ongoing investigations.
It's 48 hours. It's an important time frame, isn't it, when there's somebody escapes from a prison like this? We're just coming up to the 48-hour mark at 8 o'clock, because that's when he escaped. How confident are you that we'll be able to track him down and get him back into prison?
Well, we do have fantastic security services and police services, but as I say, I don't think it would be useful or credible for me to speculate. The important thing is that we let the police, the investigators, do their work, and they will do so, and simultaneously look at what happened in this particular circumstance, how we can make sure it doesn't happen again, what lessons can be learnt, what changes need to be made. And that is what the investigations at Wandsworth Prison will be focused on.
OK, let's leave the investigation there. I understand that you can't comment on those. So let's talk about some of the other questions that have arisen. You've said there's going to be an investigation into this, but maybe you can sort of cast some thoughts on this. Firstly, a person who was suspected of terror was not in a Category A prison. We understand that Daniel Khalife should have been... He was only in a Category B prison, whereas he should have been in a Category A prison. Is there any understanding about why that decision was made?
Well, I don't have the details of the process by which people are allocated to prisons, but the point that we should recognise is that all prisons have a duty to ensure they are secure. We will be looking specifically at what happened at the situation here at Wandsworth and what changes need to be made.
Okay.
But
was he not in a Category A prison because we don't have enough room for him in a Category A prison, because there's real concerns about how full our prisons are?
Well, we should remember that we are increasing the number of prison places. Prison places will be increasing by around 22,000. We're opening 6 new prisons.
Well, you committed to getting an extra 22,000 prison cells by 2025. That was in 2020 you made that commitment. We're now in 2023, late 2023. There's only been 5,000. So you're not going to hit that target, are you, by 2025?
Well, as I'm sure you're aware, just doing a very simple linear projection like that is completely inappropriate, because that's just not how growth works. It's never how growth works. And if you look at any...
But it's reflective of how much has gone in so far in terms of infrastructure. There's going to have to be an awful lot, in the next year and a half.
Hell for leather, then, in the next 2 years, because otherwise
because what will happen is
a
number of projects will be working concurrently, and they'll be coming on stream. So as I say, look, without wanting to get into public policy statistics 101, linear progressions like this are never how things progress, and it's...
OK, so you're confident you will hit it, then?
Of course.
Looking at the project.
And I tell you the reason why I am confident, because if you look at our record in public service delivery, we're ahead of target when it comes to recruiting doctors and nurses. Later on this afternoon, I will be going up to Essex for a passing out parade of Essex police officers. Essex now has more police officers than ever in its history, and that is reflected in police forces around the country. So we are delivering on public policy, on public protection. It is a real priority for the government, and we will continue to do so in this area as well. And it's worth remembering,
by the way,
that this is...
because you mentioned the police officers, we're heading into lies and damn statistics, aren't we, territory here? Because, of course, there's people that argue that it isn't more police officers than ever before, because the numbers of the population, the heads of population, have grown exponentially. nationally and actually per head of population, it doesn't work. So you can play it either way. And when it comes to stats...
No, it really is quite simple. There are more police officers,
there are more police officers, but there are more people to police.
So in
terms of...
But crime is falling. But, Kate, crime is falling. Violent crime is down by 40%. Overall crime is down by 50% when you take out digitally enabled crime, which is not going to be addressed by having more bobbies on the beat. So crime is falling. Police officer numbers are up. Prison places are up. The number of prisons are up. We are delivering on public safety because it is an absolute priority for this government.
OK. When it comes to numbers and staffing, your colleague, Technology Secretary Michelle Donelan, was talking to us yesterday. She said it wasn't true when we challenged her on her figures that she'd, in fact, increased frontline prison officers by 20% in the last year. Then, as the day rolled on, there was various fact-checking that went on. A body called Full Fact independently checked that and said that they'd contacted Michelle Donelan to say that actually there was a discrepancy. This kind of thing is a bit embarrassing, isn't it? I mean, we're always, frankly, a little bit nervous of challenging government ministers on figures because they can be played in different ways, but they also play it back to us and can be wrong. And so when you're in this midst, I think what viewers think is, what on earth is going on? Are we being spun a lie or not?
No, I'm not lying.
Right. So you're confident that you're going to hit the targets. You're confident that the figures are right, that it is a 20% increase, even though that's been in challenge.
Well, look,
you're confident that there are more police per head of population than ever before, even though that has been challenged.
No, hang on, Kate. What, you're saying different things to what I'm saying.
I am.
So I'm
challenging the way you presented the figures. So you presented the figures that there are more police officers than ever before.
Yes.
There's one argument that actually is just a replacement of the 20,000 numbers that were cut. There's a second argument that actually to say there's more volume than ever before doesn't really make sense in terms of the reality because there are more people than ever before. So it's how we play the figures, and this leads to a sense of not being trusted when we see deadlines not being met.
So, Kate, you're accusing me of saying things that I didn't say. The point I've made, and
no,
look,
I'm challenging you on the figures. I'm not accusing you of saying anything.
So, as I say, police numbers are increasing, and in Essex this afternoon, where I'm going, and a number of other police forces around the country, there are more police officers now than at any point in history. Crime is down by 50% overall once you take away, as I say, things like fraud and digitally enabled crime, which is not dealt with by police officers on the beat. We are looking at dealing with that in another way. I'm not discussing per head of population. I'm saying crime is coming down because we are committed to policing and public safety. Now, at the top of the programme, you said you were keen to talk to me about the Prime Minister going to G20. We've had a circular argument about numbers when the simple facts are crime is down and police numbers are up. The Prime Minister is going to an incredibly important international meeting of world leaders, including many of the countries that are going to be increasingly wealthy and important in decades to come.
And he's setting out the free trade deal from India. Let's cut to the chase, which I know is what you want to talk about and certainly what our viewers would like, because it would be very positive if we could. Is that going to be landed?
Well, this is not a trade negotiation, and it's important people realise that... No, it's not part of it at all. This is not a trade negotiation summit. The trade negotiations between India and the UK are being done by Kemi Badnoch and her team in the Trade Department. Of course, the Prime Minister will talk to Prime Minister Modi of India when he's there as part of the G20. But this meeting is about a whole range of issues and not just about bilateral trade between our two countries. But we are determined, as indeed are the Indians, to secure this trade deal. We've always said that we will take as long as it takes to get a good trade deal rather than rush through for an arbitrary date. But India is an increasingly important global player. We've set out our Indo-Pacific strategy, that we will increase our focus and our attention on this incredibly important part of the world. We enjoy a very, very good relationship with India, and we are going to look to progress that, including on trade terms. But this meeting, the G20 meeting, will be addressing food insecurity and hunger, how we ensure grain is exported from Ukraine, how we bring that conflict to an end, how we work together on some of the global issues like climate change, renewable energy generation, all of which the UK has a fantastic world-leading story to tell.
OK, we're going to have to leave it there. James Cleverly, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.